Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we be nurtured together. May we be nourished together. May we strive together. May our learning shine today. And may we not quarrel. If there is a wire, an electric wire, and it's loose, and it's available to touch, and then you ask me, hey, can I touch the wire? And I tell you, yeah, absolutely, you can touch the wire. And then you say, are you sure? No problem. Touch the wire. And then you go up to the wire, and then just before you touch the wire, I say, oh, by the way, I am, just to be honest, 99% sure there is no charge in the wire. Will you touch it? I am 99% sure.
No. I'll check whether the switch is on. They have to be 100% sure.
Exactly. So, when it comes to life or death, that is, liberation is not excluded from that. You already know from this example, nobody's interested in 99%. You only care about 100% when it comes to life or death. When it comes to self-knowledge, we're not interested in 99% there or 99% there. And you already proven that by your own agreement that you would not touch if I was 99%. You only want to hear, I am 100% sure. You want to know that I am 100% sure there is no charge in the wire. Anything less than that, you just walk away. In the same manner, self-knowledge is or can be 99.9% complete, but it is as good as 99.9% ignorance. There is no 99% knowledge. There's only 100% knowledge. So the question is, how do we create a situation of 100% knowledge? Considering we've got Shravanam, the knowledge is there. We've got Mananam, you've got time to reflect on the knowledge which has been gained. Then how do you convert that 99% to 100%? And the answer is chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, which is where Nididhyasana fills the gap. So the reason we're doing Nididhyasanam or Dhyana Yoga chapter 6 is to take us from 99% confident, 99% sure, to 100%. Because 99% it's a joke. It's not the real deal. It's just intellectual. It's a world of a difference between 99 and 100%. Just like a world of difference between surviving and not surviving. And one way to achieve this is, as we spoke about last week, through samatvam. And samatvam is a equipoise of the mind, a mind where it remains calm in situations. So it's never too high when the excitement is high, or it's never too low when the sorrow, or there's an opportunity for, suppose there's grief if somebody dies. It just remains generally equipoised, generally equal. That is not to say the person's cold to the environment, but just generally in a state of equipoise. And we said that the means to samatvam is karma yoga. So karma yoga is open eye meditation. That's one way we can look at it. That means our eyes are open and we are amidst the world, performing worldly duties with families, with friends and members, but our eyes are open. So it's a fantastic meditation, actually. It doesn't require us to be cornered in the room, and we still get to have work done. So you're multitasking. And we also said that karma yoga is two parts. Krishna said a true karma yogi is also a true sannyasi. And why is that the case? Because a sannyasi has renounced the world for the sake of pursuing truth. However, a karma yogi has also renounced the world, not physically though, but mentally. And how has the karma yogi renounced it mentally? By renouncing the need to be concerned about the future. And that is the biggest criteria to be qualified for a karma yogi. This means one cannot say I'm a karma yogi and yet I worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. Because a true karma yogi understands that the field, the total, is constantly operated and taken care of by laws and orders which are working whether you like them or not. And the function of the whole is to retain harmony in the whole, because the whole is harmony in itself. It's only human beings that come and take the harmony off course due to their desires. However, harmony always restores itself automatically. And also, a karma yogi is a true meditator, because if you think about a meditator, his or her focus is on one point. However, a karma yogi's focus is also on one point, because the only point of focus is Bhagavan, the giver of everything that we have. So samatvam and karma yoga are equivalent. Okay? And we also said that what is the difference between worrying and planning? Planning is one time, devoted, dedicated effort. Planning, constant worry, is something that occurs haphazardly. It's completely uninvited, uncalled for, unasked for. It happens anytime. Nobody here schedules in worrying between 8:15 to 9 p.m. and then kind of waits for that time and then puts all of the worries of the day between that period. So worry comes whether we like it or not. It's only, and that's the difference. Planning is dedicated. And we need to plan. A karma yogi does plan, because planning leads to more efficient results if it's being looked at in ways that you otherwise wouldn't without planning. Today's goal is verses 1 to 7. So verse 1 was general disciplines, and without this general discipline, samatvam, whose means is karma yoga, what happens is we undergo through violent emotional disturbances, which means that a circumstance takes us off our general, it destroys our state of mind, and it takes a long time to get it back. So this is due to no discipline in life. So you can see how this is leading to meditation, because suppose that we don't have this general discipline, the samatvam, then by the time we go into meditation, something that happened 5 days ago or in the morning is still there in the evening during meditation time. That means there's no meditation without a proper underlying foundation called samatvam, a tranquil mind. So 99% of the meditation is really just general preparation, samatvam. So if these emotional, turbulent, violent storms do capture us, then what happens is a samskara is formed, an impression is formed, a scar is formed. So if you think of a samskara, you can think of a scar. And what do I mean by a scar? A scar is something that stays and it hurts for a while. It takes a long time to heal it. So that means no general discipline equals scars. General discipline equals scars, but they heal a lot quicker. Okay, so we're being realistic. We're not saying no scars. So suppose you don't have a general discipline mind. These scars, impressions, when do they come out? Our stuff, when does it come out? Huh?
In Twilight Zone.
I think that
come out when you meditate?
When?
When you meditate?
Super. And when you have a quiet time to yourself, when you're relaxing. So it's quite ironic that the one time that we really want to just be quiet is the one time we're actually haunted by all of the suppressions, all of the scars which were just waiting to come out. It's just like, for example, if you and I now take a very, okay, just you, we'll just take you, and you're holding a piece of wood. A wood always wants to go to the surface, right? Now suppose you're holding a piece of wood underneath the water. Now what happens when you're caught off guard and you need to attend to worldly duties? Then I have to move myself away, and as soon as I do, the samskara comes right back up. So this means it's very easy to keep our scars suppressed by a form of escapism or entertainment or constant distraction, but it cannot be done forever because we will be caught off guard sooner or later, and that's when all of the bubbles of scars will come out, and it's going to be very painful. So, summary, conscious mind, resting mind, is when these scars come out. And the mission is to prevent these scars from coming out, these emotional disturbances, so that new scars are not developed. Which means you want to do something starting immediately, because new scars are always being built by the constant life circumstances. How do we do this? By training our mind to have samatvam. Okay, so what is samatvam? Pausing before reacting. So training our mind to have samatvam. What is samatvam? To pause before reacting. Why do we need to pause? Because any kind of reaction is that piece of wood. In other words, every time we react, we're actually reinforcing that piece of wood, which is the very cause of disturbance in meditation. So the logic is, if I pause, I'm actually destroying that piece of wood from not allowing itself to reinforce itself through my reaction. So pause and then act. In anything, this is common sense actually. Example is, there was a philosopher who he was a rich philosopher, and he had ships. And on one stormy night, the ships were destroyed, and he had all of his stock in the ship. And his servant came to him. He was writing his report. You know, they're very absorbed in their knowledge. And the servant told to the philosopher, "Hey, your ship, sorry sir, but your ship sank." And the philosopher's like, "What?" You know, like really, like, what? You cannot believe it. It's his life. And then very quickly, he just pauses before he says another word. So he goes, "What?" And then, "So what?" Right? From what to so what? In other words, something happened in that gap. From what? Pause. Is this really bad as it can get, right? Is this a big deal? Life. So what? So this is samatvam. From what to so what? So samatvam does what? It keeps our mind from going into extreme highs or dropping into extreme lows. And why? What's the problem with this? The issue is every time there's an extreme of up or an extreme of down, then a new scar is formed. So it's reasonable to say we need a prevention strategy through samatvam. From what to so what? Krishna also glorifies a grihastha ashrama. He actually does it through a special way. In the scriptures, there's a way whereby a certain concept is seemingly criticized to lift another concept. In this case, Krishna, if you read verse 1 and you look at it, it would seem like Krishna is actually criticizing sannyasa ashrama, or a meditator. So that's why I keep saying sannyasa is superior to a karma yogi is superior to a sannyasa and also superior to a meditator. But is that really true? It's only true in verse 1 to put a point across that both are included in karma yoga. So this is a common technique employed throughout the Shastra, where the person will interpret and think, oh, okay, so One's being insulted, seemingly insulted, right? But the other one's being lifted. So obviously I'm going to choose karma yoga over sannyasa or meditation. That's incorrect thinking. It's just a method employed to inflate the glory of karma yoga, okay? So that's what we're seeing in verse 1. And we said, why is a karma yogi superior? Because a karma yogi renounced, and a karma yogi is also focused. And that's exactly what a sannyasa and a meditator is. In verse 2, Krishna justifies why karma yogi is superior to sannyasi and a meditator. Why is a karma yogi a sannyasi if he hasn't or she hasn't renounced anything?
Because they've renounced the attachment to the things.
Exactly. So a karma yogi may not be a renouncer of physical items like a sannyasi, but a karma yogi is a renouncer of attachment to things. So karma yogi just generally has things to serve the purpose that they do, like a house or a car or a job, or your spouse also serves a purpose. However, inside, the karma yogi has renounced attachment to those things which they have. And the main factor which a karma yogi has renounced is concern for the future, which is as good as saying constant entertainment of desire. Because what is a desire? Is a desire, when we have a desire for something, is it not always about something in the future that we don't have right now? Yeah. Or even remorse of the past. So a karma yogi has renounced remorse of the past. Why? Because we cannot change it. What's done is done. Renounce the need to modify the present. Why? Because the present is there for you to address, call your swadharma. If you are addressing the present as you should, you're not going to complain. You won't complain if you're going against your swadharma. Okay, that's where the complaints come. Unwilling to do my swadharma. The kid needs my attention and I want to study. And then I complain, why do I have to help the kid out? That means I'm avoiding my swadharma. Ishvara requires me to help the kid out, and therefore I should help the kid out. You see? So this is what swadharma means, your personal duties. The main criteria for karma yogi is having renounced the need to be concerned or to worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. The other important aspect is a karma yogi also has renounced a very common concern, is that often we think liberation is dropping the I, right? We think, okay, I'm going to drop this false I. But then if I drop this false I, who's going to care for my family? And am I just going to like walk out of the door? Am I just going to be totally detached from my spouse? Am I just not going to care anymore because after all, it's just all one? So what happens is we also have see how this concern is also future, right? And it does show up, but we just said karma yogi renounced that. Or the other concern is if there is moksha, then how am I going to keep working? How will I keep maintaining my interest to make money and survive? Will my family leave me? Will I leave my family? Will I even care? So all of these concerns can come. And a karma yogi renounces also these concerns. You see? It's a very common fear that we have. We think that liberation means that the person will just go out and suddenly they will have an aura and everyone's going to come up to them and they're going to be special, and special words are going to be coming out of their mouth. You know, they're going to be in a different state and everyone's going to recognize them out of the blue. And before you know it, everyone wants to build them an ashram. And then suddenly they're going to want to start teaching. And they're just going to walk out of the house with an open door, not even care about whether the house is abandoned or not. They won't even care about the money. You know, they're just going to give all of it away. All of these concerns have to be renounced because these are false notions originating from, well, I don't know where, but a mind that hasn't grasped the reality fully. And before moving on, one thing about Bhagavad Gita, which we're doing verse by verse, is a grihasta book. A grihasta book is a householder's book. That means it's a book for a householder. Krishna is a householder, Arjuna is a householder. Vyasa Acharya, the author of Mahabharata, is a householder. So today, the Bhagavad Gita is more applicable than ever before, because it not only talks about how to manage this busy life, especially today, and all of the demands that we're constantly getting, but also how to pursue the highest purpose in life. Upanishads are a lot easier to teach, because to teach Upanishads, all you do is just take one little topic on the self, and you just stick on that one little theme. But with the Gita, we're connecting so many dots together, like how to live and how not, what to avoid, and what to have in life, and what to remove and what to reduce. So that's why the Gita has a lot longer to teach, but it's worth it. Verse 3 now. Arurukshormuner yogam karma karanam uchyate yoga rudhasya tasyaiva shamah karanam uchyate. Verse 3 talks about how long to follow karma yoga. We keep speaking about karma yoga. Question is, how long do I need to follow karma yoga for? When am I free to drop karma yoga? And is karma yoga an intermediary sadhana, or is it the ultimate end? Right? Is it the ultimate sadhana? The answer is karma yoga is just a stepping stone, an intermediary sadhana. It is not the ultimate. Its only purpose is to cause a sharpening of the buddhi, the intellect, which is able to capture the statements in jnana yoga, or to be capable of dhyana yoga, meditation. Okay? For that we need either way a sharp mind. For example, suppose you have a knife and there's a room, and in the room there's the best knowledge you can get, the ultimate knowledge, and you're only given a knife, but the knife is blunt and there's no door, and you need to get in that room. So what do? You take a pumice stone, a stone that grinds, and you sharpen the knife, and it takes a long time because it's a thick wall and the knife is pretty big, so it takes a long time to scrub and sharpen the knife. And that takes effort on your part. Karma yoga takes effort on your part. It takes quite a while. And once it's done its job, that is, it's sharpened the knife, the intellect, then by that sharpness, by that acuity, by that sensitivity, by that expansiveness, we're able to then understand and comprehend without confusion these statements. Okay, that's the difference between one who gets this and who doesn't. The one who gets this has a sharp mind. The one who doesn't, one's mind is not primed for jnana yoga. There's also extreme version of karma yogis, because a karma yogi, it depends on which school you're with. One school of karma yoga is all you do is just karma yoga, right? Just karma yoga. That's all. You just serve people, right? Be selfless, right? Just do it for the betterment of the whole. Do. It's just insane rituals, and then one day, by some luck, enlightenment out of nowhere, right? Just a thought of liberation. Suddenly I'm free. The other extreme is, of course, to do karma yoga, because then I will go to Vaikuntha, or a loka, or heaven in Christian terms. So then the person does karma yoga and does selfless service all their life. That's one extreme. The other extreme is to say karma yoga is useless, right? Why do action? I'm a non-doer. To intellectualize the whole karma yoga thing, just to dismiss it. The self is free of action. What's the point of selfless service? It's all me anyway. How is this going to help? Karma yoga is just reinforcing that I'm a doer. So that's the other extreme. The answer to this is the attitude that we need towards karma yoga, the correction towards karma yoga is it's there to purify the mind, and once it's done that, then we drop the sadhana. Very simple. It's just to purify, that's it. For example, you go to college, right? Initiate. There's an initiation. You get initiated into karma yoga. I choose to take on a karma yoga, a yogi identity, right? Step one, initiate, go into college. When you're in college, what happens? We learn, we do exercises, and then once that's complete, what do? We exit. Go in, stay, get the job done. Once that's done, exit. Karma yoga, use it, let it help you. Once it's done its job, we exit. It's simple as that. That's the attitude. It's just a stepping stone. The other part is that no scripture starts, no matter which way you look at it, even the Yoga Patanjali Sutras, no scripture starts with meditation first. They all start with general preparation. For example, in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, we start with yama. Yama is things to avoid in our transactions in life, like don'ts. And then we've got niyama. Niyama are virtues to abide by. One of them is ahimsa, non-injury. And then the Patanjali goes into asana, posture. Now, posture, when you think of posture, don't just think of posture as in straight back and meditation posture. To have a strong posture, think about the words behind it. What's the implied meaning when I say asana, strong posture? It implies what? Discipline. And to be disciplined, it means what? I practiced over, and what does practice do? It builds up strength. So to have asana, to have posture, is to have strength in any area of life. Just imagine if you're trying to get your work done, you're trying to program, or you're trying to get some construction work going, and then the body is so weak, it's constantly falling down. It cannot focus, it cannot stay awake, right? It's dull. So asana also refers to that strength of the mind and the body. And then there is pratyahara, is when the person chooses, like a turtle, to when you come to a turtle and then it withdraws its limbs? Yeah. So the person chooses to withdraw their limbs when an opportunity comes to tempt or seduce or entice into its alluring entertainments. Withdraws its limbs and just recognizes, I choose to remain, peaceful. I choose to remain here. It doesn't mean they don't go, but just they don't allow their senses to externalize to the world. Okay. And then this withdrawal of the senses leads to pranayama, breath control. And breath control is, just like asana builds a strong, disciplined body, pranayama is building a strong, disciplined mind. And then pranayama leads to dharana, which is concentration. And what does it mean to have concentration? It means that as a result of these initial practices, which come before dharana, the mind is able to single-handedly stay on one task without constantly being distracted by all of its environmental factors. And then as a result of consistency of dharana, one is able to naturally slide into meditation. The thing about meditation is usually we want just the meditation and we want to skip the knowledge. Let's skip chapter 1 to 5, just give me the meditation technique. It doesn't work like that because the mind is not ready for it. So every time you hear this thing about, and that's why meditation sells so well today, it's become a fashion, a brand, right? Let me sell you my meditation and it's going to give you this and that. The problem is you're giving that to an untrained mind. So it's not going to work. So that's why Krishna does not put meditation first chapter. He builds us up, chapters 1 to 5. And same thing with Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Meditation is number 7. There is one meditation that does work without jnana, which is japa. Japa is mentally chanting a word symbol, which is mantra. For example, Om Namah Shiva, or you can also say Hari Om. So the point of these repetitive mantras is to concentrate the mind. And what do we say concentration is? Dharana, to single-pointedly concentrate the mind, to train it to stay in one topic. Okay? That's japa. So you can do japa, that is finding a word symbol, a mantra, which by its repetition, long enough, you can then focus your mind. Another one is we breathe in and we say sa, like sa, S-A. And then exhaling is hum, H-A-M, hum, sa. So sa, hum. And in Sanskrit, hamsa is swan. Swan is a beautiful, pure bird, and it represents purity, the self. In the Vedic culture, they say that the swan is able to extract the milk from the water and drink only the milk. In other words, is able to identify self from not self. That's the message behind it. This is the order that's given in the Gita. Karma yoga, number 1, leading to jnana yoga, and then dhyana yoga. Or karma yoga leading to dhyana yoga and then jnana yoga. It depends on what stage you're at. Okay? For some of us, we don't need meditation, so we go straight from karma yoga straight into knowledge. Some of us, knowledge doesn't work, so then we go from karma yoga to meditation, and then meditation helps the mind even further to quieten it, and then we go into jnana yoga, into knowledge. And also in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the yama and niyama, do's and don'ts, are generally basically karma yoga. So if you want a karma yoga version in the yoga world, then look at the yama and niyama in the Yoga Sutras. Yeah? So you can see the order is the same. That's the point. The Bhagavad Gita has an order, preparation, meditation. The Patanjali Yoga Sutra has an order, preparation, meditation. Question: how long do you do karma yoga? How long do you do karma yoga? The answer is until you grow out of it. Yoga arudhasya. Yoga arudhasya. That means once you've already attained, that means once you've grown out of it. So how long do you do karma yoga? Until you've grown out of it. For example, a baby grows out of its womb. Right? It's a natural order. You don't have to do anything about it. It's already taken care of. That's why I say, don't worry. When the stage is going to come, you will naturally move on to the next stage. The Guru-Shishya parampara, or the Guru-Shishya relationship, also has to come to an end. Because in Vedanta, our job is not to create dependence on the teacher, but to create absolute independence, whereby you recognize yourself as the shining light which illumines the world, illumines existence, without creating this dependence. So we also have to grow out of that. How will you know when you're ready? You will naturally not feel attracted to keep, let's just say you will feel ready to go solo, right? You will be able to pick up a book and then say, I understand what this is talking. It's supporting what I already know, right? So we all have to grow out of these things.
So are you saying that karma, you're not transcending karma, you're exhausting the yoga, the karmic yoga, so karma still keeps going, even though you're actually moving on from karma yoga. Is that what I'm hearing? Because you can't just stop karma, surely.
Yeah,
You're never going to stop karma.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I know what you're saying.
Yoga.
Oh, okay, good. We're going to build up to that, but I'm going to give you an answer now. Let's just say extreme karma yoga, just like it's all about karma yoga. That will lower naturally, but it will continue still. Okay, just not as much. Life is not going to be all about selfless service and all about Ishvara. It's just going to be natural. And when it comes natural, then you will continue what you do, but the interest is going to go from lesser karma yoga, more self-inquiry. That's natural. Just like a baby naturally is born. So don't worry about that. Another question is, how do you withdraw from karma yoga? If you are a sannyasi, this is how to do that. If you're a sannyasi, it's done, there is an official, okay, let's put it this way. If you want to quit your job, do you just stop, not go anymore? Or do you make it official? You go to the job, you get the paper, you go to the boss, you get the papers, you say, I want to leave, I'm ready to leave, I'm ready to move on. Is that how you do it? Absolutely. So as a sannyasi makes it official. And how does a sannyasi do it? A sannyasi, because a sannyasi is alone, there's no person to make a promise to. Sannyasi has no one but who? Himself. Bhagavan, right? Bhagavan. So a sannyasi would do it, for example, by saying, Lord, please give me the strength to, I'm now ready to pursue full-time the pursuit of self-knowledge. Give me the strength that I may detach gradually and naturally from these rituals and these practices which I have been engaging in. I now wish to pursue full-time the pursuit of self-knowledge. So that's how a sannyasi would, for example, do it officially, right? You make a public statement to Bhagavan, because it's always between you and God. How does a grahastha ashrama withdraw from karma yoga? We're now speaking about us. I said the word naturally. What happens is there's a natural reduction of activities, constantly doing, and a organic interest, attraction for self-inquiry. That's how it happens for a grahastha ashrama. Shravanam, mananam, and nididhyasanam becomes priority for a karma yogi. Verse 4. Yada hin indriyarteshu na karma swan ushajate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yoga rudhasta dochyate. We'll just read verse 3 first. For the discriminating person wishing to attain yoga, karma yoga is said to be the means. So yoga is completion. For the person who has already attained this yoga, total renunciation alone is said to be the means. Okay. So verse 4. Okay, previous verse talks about, in summary, what's the previous verse 3 about? Karma yoga prepares the mind, and once it's prepared, it's then ready to pursue self-knowledge. Done. Okay. Verse 4 will now ask a question, how do I know if I'm ready to switch over from karma yoga to jnana yoga or dhyana yoga? This is going to be an extension of the previous verse, okay? How do I know if I have a mature mind that's able to now grasp reality and pursue self-knowledge full time? This is going to be now about, how do I know if I have a mature mind? How do you know if you're ready to pass a school test? End of the year, we have an exam, and we, by that examination and all the marks throughout the year, we average the marks, and then if we go above a passing point, we're able to go to the next class, right? In school. How do you know when a child is ready to be born? Labor pain. Do you predict labor pain, or it comes completely unpredictably? Huh? 4 o'clock a.m., right? Yeah. Suddenly. So what am I saying here? Laws and orders are already taken care of when it's time to move on. Just like a child, suddenly time is for the child to come out, it's totally out of your control. In karma yoga's case, action is, as I said before, reduced, and self-inquiry is increased. How do you know this? You will just know. You will just be more attracted to self-knowledge, and Karma yoga will be something in the background that you will naturally do without having to think about it. Also, one thing that we need to know is improvement is not universal for everyone. You'll find 95-year-olds who are still thinking about women, right? They're still generally immature. So, and this is not to insult or degrade anyone. It's just that to address that our path where we are depends. So this means we always prescribe where you are right now. So for this reason, the improvement is different for everyone. So the reason I'm saying this is because sometimes we see some person and we say, my God, they're still immature. But don't worry about it, because we all were, you could say previous lifetimes like that. So it takes many lifetimes to come to a maturity process. Either way, the lesson is maturity happens naturally and organically. So if you have a family member who you wish to be more mature, relax. Okay, what's the litmus test for us who are on the spiritual path to what tells us that we're mature? Right now in this class, what would one factor tell us that we're mature?
Feeling comfortable with self-inquiry.
Very good. Well,
Recognizing the need not to hurt anyone.
very good. The factor that would determine whether there's maturity, there is a freedom from sense pleasure obsessions, attached neither to sense objects. The keyword here is obsessions. Obsessed with what? So what would you have to be free from to qualify for this statement? Artha kama. So how do we fail the maturity test? Very easy. To fail the maturity test, you would have to be craving and constantly entertained, contemplating how to increase my level of artha and kama. Okay, let's take two words. Artha, wealth. General wealth, not just money, but just general wealth in resources, wealth in big family, wealth in material resources, wealth in books, wealth in knowledge, just general wealth. And the second word, kama, entertainment. So wealth and entertainment. These two words sound familiar? If you want to summarize samsara in one word, two words, wealth and entertainment, this is a test of immaturity, when one's obsessed around kama and artha. For such people who are still obsessed, Vedanta is not interesting. It will be a total waste of time to come here, and it will be disinteresting. It will make no sense. It will be useless. They'll generally say, why are you guys going through this? Why are you sitting and listening to this? So this is, you can see how it's a natural expression. Depends on where the person is able to gauge what they want to see. To such a person, you take them to a festival, that's the best Vedanta they've got, right? For someone who's gone through that, the festival becomes a Vedanta class or something similar, right? A YouTube video on self-knowledge. So you can see how all around us we have different gradings everywhere, and all these gradings have the right to be interested in what they're interested, because that's the level of maturity they're in. So, once again, it does not stand to reason to criticize anyone, because they deserve to have their level of interest, right? Because it's taking them farther. The summary is maturity equals freedom from craving of sense objects which provide pleasure. And also, we're not talking about hating objects, because hating is the opposite extreme of being obsessed. There's also in the spiritual world a subtle pattern, a sophisticated pattern, where I would say I'm just going to stay away from the world, because the world is just there, to distract me. So there's this rebellion against the world. What does it mean to be dispassionate? Okay. What is natural dispassion? I neither hate nor do I love. I'm just neutral. Suppose there's a kid who likes to play with marbles, and you're around that child. And the child asks you, hey, can you please play marbles with me? Now, to you as an adult, do you have any interest in marbles? No. So are you going to say, no, I don't want to play, I don't like marbles? Are you going to say that? Probably not. But also you're not going to be excited, are you? You're not going to have a high or a low. You're just going to play. And while you play, suppose you're winning. Are you going to get super excited and it's going to make your day?
Put it on Facebook. Yeah.
Right? Get your YouTube hits. Right? You're not gonna be excited, or like a kid does while you're playing with a child. But suppose you're losing, are you gonna lose it? No, you're just gonna like enjoy the game whether you're winning or losing. So there is an aspect of love. I love what I do. I am engaged fully with what I am doing. That's called swadharma. I am immersed with what I am doing, but I am neither too attached nor dislike what I am involved with. This is what we call vairagyam, called dispassion, where I neither like it nor I dislike it. I just do my duty that I'm being asked to do. And in the full performance of the duty is where I find my full love in the participation of that object. So that means what? If we don't like to do what we don't like to do, what does that mean? That's a violation of one's swadharma. It is impossible to suffer if you're constantly performing your swadharma. If you want to have a constant life of smoothness and joy for whatever you're doing, then follow and discover your swadharma. If you're a computer programmer, for example, Lloyd, do you like your work?
Yep.
Yeah. Swadharma, right?
No.
There you go.
You rather do that than anything else.
I wasn't always sure though.
Yeah, I know. It takes some time to discover. Okay, so a fully mature person who has vairagyam developed is neither concerned about their departure nor the arrival, but just does the duty. And also, such a person of maturity is not too concerned with artha. What's another word for artha? Security. Security is a primary drive for human behavior to do what we do. Security means I wish to secure myself in this world through money, through status, through power, through objects. What we need to understand is security is entirely a state of mind. It is not a matter of quantity of objects in one's presence, but a state of mind. For example, suppose you make $1 million. Then suddenly what's going to happen is you're going to say, well, if I can make $1 million, I can surely make 1.5, because after all, I've done 1 million. Now there's an increase in one's standards. And when they get 1.5, they're going to say, well, I seem to be doing pretty good. I can definitely do a little bit better. So this constant attempt to satisfy these standards in the realm of security is just not possible. Security is a state of mind. Question: in what does sannyasi put his or her security in, considering there's no objects around them?
Himself.
Bhagavan, excellent. The only security that never comes and goes in our life, that's always present, is what? Bhagavan. Even our closest mates, our closest family, also comes and goes. That means if we're able to put our security in that which is always present, Bhagavan, then no matter what happens in the unpredictable world, there is always something to fall back on. And this is what retains one's sanity and sharpness of mind. So, one word, the ultimate sign of maturity is detachment. What is detachment? Vairagyam. Before we go to verse 5, I'm going to revise verses 1 to 4, just generally, so know where we're at. Revision. Chapter 6, the beginning of, speaks about general disciplines, and by their performance, we benefit with meditation. Okay, you want to have a beneficial meditation? Abide by the general disciplines, one of them being samatvam. Why do you want to maintain balance in life? That's the more important question. The reason is because, okay, what is life? Life is series of experiences. That's it. That sums up what life is. Now, what is an experience? how is an experience generated? By the interaction of the field. That means whatever experience I get now is what? A result of the many variables in the field which have now come to my presence, and then I say experience. I am experiencing life. So that experience is a result of what? External factors, and a lot of them. And can you control external factors? Ask a 50-year-old couple or 40-year-old couple that's been together, and you will even hear from them that there are times when one or the other does something that is totally unpredictable or surprises the other. So even that can reveal to us that the world, even those closest to us, can be unpredictable because you don't even control them, right? So the world is completely in what it provides, the level of experience, the quality and the texture of experience that it provides, that is out of our control. And because it's out of our control, we need to what? Prevent scars forming, because if something happens that is out of my liking or disliking, it's going to create a high spike in the mind, causing a samskara, a scar, and that is then going to come into my meditation during my free, spare, quiet, tranquil time, and that's not going to allow meditation, whose purpose is what? Nididhyasanam. And what does Nididhyasanam do? Takes you from 99% to 100%. So you can see the connection. The other part that Karma Yoga solves is it reduces your recovery time, samatvam. Okay, what does recovery time mean? When something happens, a high spike or a low depression, then what happens, there's a gap from the time that it leaves us, that we're able to move on. So what karma samatvam does is it makes your mind available to be ready at hand with the next task which requires my attention. If I'm still concerned about something that's happened 10 hours ago, then I'm not available for serving the environment right now. And what do we say about not serving the environment is a violation of swadharma, and every time there's a violation of swadharma, the person experiences dukkha, pain. So that's why it pays us to have a life of tranquility. All right, verse 5. Uttared atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet Atmaiva hyatmano banhuhu Atmaiva ripuratmanaha. Okay, we're just down verse 4, so we're not going to read it. When one is attached to neither sense objects nor to actions, then that person is said to be one who has attained liberation, one who has renounced the cause of all desires. So what's the qualifier for a liberated person? One who is attached neither to sense objects nor to actions. Vairagyam, dispassion, the highest qualification for Vedanta. So the previous verse, 4 to 1, is now done with general preparation. I spoke about Dhyana Yoga consisting of 5 parts. First one, general preparation. Remember that? Bahiranga sadhanam, done. Now, verse 5 is going to continue into a different topic. Verse 5 talks about an important topic that we often disagree with, partially, and we can never come to an agreement, and that's free will. The question is, do we have free will? So now we're going to investigate this and come to a conclusion, so never again are we confused by what's called self-effort, purushartha. So what is free will? Purushartha in Sanskrit. It's a word I'll be using again, so take it down. So in this verse, Krishna talks about the usage of free will. And before I go into the topic, I will first mention the difference between fatalist and fate. One who is in the fatalist mode, and what is the difference to fate. A fatalist is one who does not accept free will. Okay, everything is predetermined. Everything is set in stone. It's written on your forehead, and it's not going to go away. So the only way you can go about this life is just to go at the fancies and the whims and the circumstances of what you're exposed to and accept it, right? Just accept it without any complaints, because it's your destiny, right? So a fatalist is one who you cannot argue, right? If you meet someone and they say there's no free will, it's very hard to argue with this person. So what will we say to such a person who does not believe in free will? We will say, yes, Vedanta does agree with you up to a certain point. That means Vedanta does agree with fate. Fate, another word, is destiny. They're synonymous words. Destiny or fate in Sanskrit is prarabdha karma. Okay. So everyone is undergoing prarabdha karma. And what is prarabdha karma? Circumstances which you find yourself in. Now that is destiny. That is your fate. But the other method, or the other argument that we have to present to a fatalist, is there are two types of destinies. The first one is good destiny. This is called punya prarabdha karma. And the other one is called bad destiny or papa prarabdha karma. Now, if a person is undergoing punya prarabdha karma, that means good destiny, then their mind will be inclined to think naturally that they have free will. And a person who is undergoing bad destiny, that means bad circumstances in life, unpleasant circumstances in life, such a mind will naturally conclude that they do not have free will. For example, suppose there's two merchants, merchant A, merchant B. Both of them find themselves on the street, a busy street, and they're selling vegetables. Now, merchant A observes the market. They see the traffic. They get to know the customers. They're very kind. They choose to get to know them as human-to-human relationship. Person B, merchant, decides just to make money. So, I'm not interested in how you are. I'm just what do you want to buy, right? So both of them have a mouth. They both have a hand to shake people's hands. They both have language to speak. They both have vegetables, a product that people need. However, person A is using their facilities, their faculties, to create a situation that creates a lot more pleasant circumstances. And person B is losing their profit because everyone's going over to the other side because, that person's very pleasant, but this one's not very pleasant. So the person B starts to complain. Oh, life is so hard. No one's interested. That person's lucky. I'm not. This is not what I'm meant to do. This is my fate. I can't do anything about it. God has put me in the situation. I just have to go through the hard times. So the person naturally concludes that by their bad fate, their inappropriate, their papa prarabdha karma, is stripping out this concept of free will. It's a natural conclusion that a person comes to. Whereas the one who is successful in their merchant, now they've got all the people, and now they also make a lot of money. And what's going to be a result of that? They're going to open up a store. And now they're going to make even more money and help more people. So all of these circumstances conspiring together as a result of the person's good destiny has naturally made that person conclude, I have free will, because the fact that I'm now in the store and not still on the street was because of all of the hard work that I put into my business to be where I'm at. You see, it's a natural conclusion. So that means if you're successful, you will naturally conclude, my success is due to my effort, my purushartha, my self-effort. If a person is unsuccessful, nothing's going well, they don't have a job, then the person or they can't get a job, they're going to conclude naturally that this is my fate, this is my destiny, and I don't have any free will. Now, the scriptures do not support the idea of fatalism. There is not a single mention in the scriptures of fatalism. Whenever scripture, in fact, there would be no scriptures if there was no free will, because that would mean that that means we're wasting our time right now, right? That means we're getting all the instructions, but what's the point? If I'm meant to die tomorrow, hey, so be it. So I'm just not going to bother. So the whole idea of scripture's existence is to exercise one's free will to the fullest. Now, I spoke about fatalism. Now, what's the difference between that and fate? So now let's talk about fate. Fate is destiny, prarabdha karma, plus purushartha, self-effort. That means destiny says, proper definition of destiny says, yes, there is fate, but it's only one contributing factor to your future. The other contributing factor to your future is your own purushartha, your own self-effort, or your own free will. That's why we call it self-effort, because it's the effort of the self. The proper definition of fate or destiny is purushartha plus prarabdha karma. Question, which is more powerful? Free will or destiny?
Free will. Destiny. No, free will. Free will.
No, both are wrong. It's impossible to say. How would you tell? It depends on the intensity of your fate, of your prarabdha karma. What do I mean by this? There are 3 intensity levels of your fate. Number 1 is called prabala, strong fate. The second one is called madhyama, medium intensity fate. And the last one is called durbala, weak or faint fate, like very weak. So let's explain. What does prabala or strong fate mean? Suppose you look outside the window and there's a tornado coming towards your house, which you just finished building after 2 years and you put all your money into it. Are you going to stop that tornado? Are you?
No, run for your life.
Exactly. So now what does run for your life imply? I cannot stop prabala, strong fate, but I can take measures to prepare myself for what is about to happen. That means I exercise. Okay, what, do you just stay in your house and go, come on, bring it on, tornado? No. You move. And what is movement? Self-effort. Free will to get out of the way. So that means, how do we manage that fate which cannot be stopped? It's going to happen whether you like it or not. You prepare yourself for it so that it doesn't cause a major spike in the mind and therefore leave a huge scar or samskara. The next one is madhyama, medium-sized destiny. So, okay, what does this mean? This is something that you can manage, but you cannot stop. What does this mean? The only thing you can do to medium-sized effort is reduce its impact. Suppose the divorce is underway. So that means prarabdha karma is undergoing, it's in progress. Can you change the possibilities to potentially manage it from having less impact on you? Yes. Absolutely, right? You can even decide not to be so angry about it, decide to be friendly about it. There's so many variables you can do to reduce the impact or even to potentially stop it from happening, right? But it's very small chance, because once the divorce is already underway, a lot of arguments have gone in most cases, so it's usually very hard to stop. That's why we put it in the medium category, right? But you can manage the impact.
Sliding into a car crash is probably a good one.
Good one, you just took my words. Car accident, super. So suppose there's a car accident and a person can get out in rage and totally angry and rude. And that's going to create a very unpleasant circumstance. Or you can pause, samatvam, pause before reacting, see what's happened, look around, okay, is the body okay? Am I okay? Are they okay? Pause, get out, take your camera, take your photos for proof. So you can't manage it by what? Your behavior. And how do you change your behavior? Self-effort, purushartha. Okay? The last one is faint. Faint, very weak faith. This is fate or destiny which you can nullify or completely eliminate by a method called prayashchitta karma. What is prayashchitta karma? This comes from the Vedas. Certain rituals or austerities can be performed to nullify what is about to happen. Or penances, that's another word, penances. One example we have is, it's called abhishasta. What is abhishasta? Public confession, and then asking for forgiveness. You know, in Christian confessionaries, you think that's an accident? No. This is called abhishasta. I publicly confess what I've done, my sins, and I ask for forgiveness to someone who I would usually only reveal the best of my side. I go to them and I reveal my sin. That's one example. The other method of prayashchitta karma, to nullify, anutapa. Anutapa is repentance. What is repentance? It is remorse for your past conduct. And then promising that I shall never do it again. It's a public promise to Bhagavan. That's another way to nullify the what's about to happen. And another example is tapas. Tapas is austerities. For example, celibacy. A person can undergo celibacy for a month longer than they're comfortable with, and for the purposes of asking for forgiveness from the whole. Another example, this is from the Vedas, so it may sound strange to us, is to wear wet clothes until they dry out.
That's not a good thing.
No, this is how they did it back in the Vedic age. I'm just giving you examples. Use your own examples. So in other words, it's a little bit of uncomfort to yourself to undergo the fact that you have sinned a little bit. The other is, you can say, go on a fast. That's a common one. Or sleep on the ground, right? So these are just examples of prayashchitta karma. So every moment we're experiencing these three levels of grading. That's why I say you cannot answer the question which is stronger, prarabdha karma or purushartha. It depends on two factors, right? The answer. Number one, karma palam, the intensity of karma palam, the results. And number two, the intensity of dharmic purushartha, dharmic free will. That means if my free will is very strong, then I can potentially manage or nullify the prarabdha karma. If my free will is uneducated because I don't know what to do, then the intensity by that nature is going to be a lot less. Therefore, what's going to be higher or be in its full 100%? The prarabdha karma. So it all depends the intensity of your purushartha self-effort or the intensity of these three gradings of the prarabdha karma. Question. I said self-effort, didn't I? What makes a person apply self-effort? Before you answer, suppose you are tired. How likely you're exhausted, you're tired all day, just feeling really sleepy. How much would that affect your self-effort? A lot, a little bit, or not at all? A lot. So what happens now if you are tired, but you're going to manage the situation? Are you going to manage it as good as you could as if you're fully energized?
If you love whatever you...
Yeah, if it's mattered to you, right? You will put away your tiredness.
Your tiredness will go.
Exactly. Nevertheless, it still profits a person to be consistently strong, vitality, their stamina, and their energy. What else was going to contribute in your ability to apply self-effort? Belief in yourself. I can't or I can't. This depends on the conditioning. Some of us grew up in families which always say that we can't, we're not good enough, we're small. And that also determines our self-effort. So, belief in myself and personal energy. What is Atmanaha Bandhuhu? Your instruments consisting of your sense organs, your mental mind, your intellect, and the strength of your physical body. So this means the level of self-effort that I am capable of exercising, the level of free will that I'm capable of invoking, depends on the strength and the health of these instruments. For example, suppose your car is, everything's fine with your car, right? The steering wheel is fine, the driver behind the steering wheel is fine, the car is fine, but the wheels, representing your sense organs, are not working properly because they're being constantly exposed to entertainment. Is the car going to run as it should? Impossible. That means even with a healthy mind, a good intellect, if I am inconsistently exposing myself to an environment which I'm not meant to be in, then it's going to affect simultaneously all of my other sense instruments, including the mind, the body, the sense organs, and the emotions. A car, you're a car by the way, the steering wheel is your mind, the sense organs are the wheels, the driver behind the car is the intellect, and the car itself is your body. A car that is working properly is going to do what? A car that works properly is going to take you to the farthest reaches, meaning what? To where we need to be, meaning what? Last stage of life, moksha. And a car which is not working properly is going to take us where? To the nearest hospital. In other words, it's going to take us to a place where we don't wish to be, right? So what's the summary? Healthy instruments equals ability to maximize my use of free will, my self-effort. That means fine-tuning our equipment to a level where they are available for our use. In other words, they're healthy. The other aspect is to maintain the instruments in what's called synchronicity. So what do I mean by this? Suppose that you have a violinist, you have a piano player, you have a guitarist, and they all play great music, but they're totally out of sync. Are we going to have a masterpiece or a disaster? A disaster. So why did I say this? It doesn't matter if my intellect, my piano is 100%. If my mind, my violin is having emotional misconfiguration due to lack of samatvam, of course, then there's going to be what? A conflict of using my instruments to get me to the farthest reaches. So that means it's not enough to be great in one thing, but balance in all things. What usually happens is we get in love with a certain practice and then we perfect it at the expense of all the other practices. Oh, I love to improve my body, but then I stop playing Rumi, right? Exercising my brain. I exercise my brain or get into Vedanta, but then what? My wife or my husband suffers due to not having my attention. And then suddenly they start complaining, and then what? I go to them, and now I start feeling bad because I'm not taking enough time for Vedanta, so I'm constantly being pulled left and right. Therefore, it is not enough to be just good in one thing, but balance and attending to all areas which demand our presence. One more question is, how do you refine your own body, mind, intellect?
Through inquiry.
Through your own body, mind, intellect. Is someone going to do it for you? No. So what does this mean? Why did I say this? Suppose that I don't attune my body, mind, intellect, then my body, mind, intellect loses energy and the motivation to tune itself. You understand that? That's called a downward spiral. The more tired I get, the less motivation I have to take this tired instrument and get it back and to uplift its state to a level that it needs to go to the farthest reaches. How do I refine my body-mind instrument? Through my own body-mind instrument. That's why if you forget to attend to your own BMI, then that is your own downfall. Because your own body-mind intellect needs your own body-mind intellect to attend to the body-mind intellect. Okay. So how do we summarize this verse? the conclusion of this verse is your own mind is your best friend or your worst enemy. For the self alone is the one benefactor and the self is the one's enemy.
It's interesting the different word of self, the different use of self there to what we normally use as self.
Yeah, Atma is also just ordinary person in this case, the body, mind, intellect. So, take note of this last verse. What's the summary? You are your own best friend and you are your own worst enemy. So now, verse 6 is going to answer why is this the case.
My understanding of prarabdha karma is, say at 10 o'clock you're going to have an accident in a car.
Yeah.
But you don't know you're going to have an accident.
Yeah,
That's prarabdha karma.
that's right. That's
So
also
how
for
do
you and for the other person.
So where's free will then?
Free will is when you have the accident.
Yeah.
You make the decision.
No, free will is when you hit the brakes.
How do you?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you? Yeah, how do you?
So you can't
Lessen
prevent,
that.
you can't prevent it.
Rani just answered it
No,
perfectly.
you can. No, you can't prevent the accident, but you can lessen the harm. To
The impact
accident.
once it's already happened. Yeah. Okay, verse 6. Banhuhu atmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jita anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat. So verse 5, revision, is your mind is your own best friend and that same mind is your worst enemy. Krishna is now going to answer, how is that the case? Because usually you're either your best friend or your worst enemy, right? How can we have an enemy and a friend in one person? The answer to that is, to the question, how is that possible to be your own worst enemy or your best friend? The answer is, it depends how you use the instrument which is given to you. For example, if I'm given a knife, I can use it to cut a nice dish and feed the family, and that same knife can be used to injure myself if I use it irresponsibly. Or you can take atomic energy, I can use that to take uranium and create electricity. Or I can use it for Hiroshima. It depends how the instrument is given to you. So in the same manner, depending on how your body, mind, intellect is used, either option A, I can know how to operate it, how to use it, and actually use it in accordance with what? Shastra, because Shastra is literally a manual. The Gita is a manual how to live in life, so the answer is already provided. Or I can choose to use this instrument recklessly. That means expose it to, sense objects which are loud music, a lot of TV, a lot of YouTube entertainment, a lot of stuff that just adds, a lot of spikes in the mind. So it's entirely up to you. So that answers the question, in what way? And the other part is, we're not trying to suppress the body, mind, intellect. There's this difference between self-control. We talked on Sunday, Atma Virigraha, that means self-control, self-discipline, and between suppression. Suppression is putting it down without addressing it because it's too painful to deal with right now, and I've got better things to do. I don't have time for this. That's called suppression. But we know in life how life keeps moving, so it's likely you probably will not address it anyway because time, is going to fade it out. But guess what? The fact that I didn't address it when it was present is going to cause what? A scar, a samskara, which is going to come out where? At my own quiet time in meditation. That means if I don't address the situation when it's happening and I choose to suppress it, it's going to turn into a scar. And that's going to create a noisy mind. This is why some of us don't like to be, we're actually afraid of being in silence alone because we're afraid of our own thoughts. It's a very common situation because all of the thoughts come out. The summary of verse 6 is, without self-management, there is no success in anything, in any field of endeavor. If you don't manage your body, mind, emotions, consciously, mindfully, persistently, unceasingly, then the instrument is going to be used recklessly. Summary verse 6 is, if you want victory, learn to self-manage. If we want to be conquered by our own problems, then don't manage your instrument, given to you to be managed by your instrument. Verse 7, and then we'll close. Jit atmanah prashantasya paramatma samahitaha shitoshna sukha dukkeshu tathamana. Okay, we'll read verse 6 first. On the top. For the one who has mastered oneself by oneself, the self alone is a friend of oneself. Whereas for the self who has not mastered oneself, self alone would remain in the status of an enemy, like an enemy. So what we're talking about is self-mastery. And that's what verse 7 is now going to speak. Jitatmanaha. In this case, Atmanaha is just a person who is body-mind instrument. And Jita is managed or won over. One who has managed or won over or conquered their body-mind instrument. We are talking about self-discipline, self-orchestration, self-attunement, self-management, self-control, self-mastery. There it is over there. Now, what's the test for self-mastery, as Adrian said? How do you know you have self-mastered yourself, thus you can be called a Jita Atmanaha? The answer is, there's a general calmness in life. That's it. It's a very simple answer, just general calmness. You're still one is still attending to worldly duties, no doubt, but behind the scenes, there's a general calmness. Everything's fine, everything's okay. That's the Jit Atmanaha. That's your test. The opposite of that is a turbulent mind. What does a turbulent mind do? A non-calm life. Constantly distressed, right? Everything's a big deal. A cup falls, right? Big emotion. It's just a cup. Your favorite cup, so what? It's just 5 elements. Going back to 5 elements. Okay, so it's not a big deal. It's calm. Just everything's fine. So this means a calm life is required for Vedanta to work. If you're calm, Vedanta will work. If not calm, Vedanta is going to be a struggle. If Vedanta is a struggle, calm yourself. Now, just before we close, there are 3 types of intellect, just to demonstrate this point. This will tell you how ready you are. There is a intellect which is made out of wet wood. There is an intellect made out of coal. And there is an intellect made out of rosemary. Rosemary catches fire pretty quickly. Okay, so wet wood, your mind is coal, and your mind is rosemary. Now, suppose I give you fire of knowledge, and I try to set your wet wood, your mind on fire. Is that going to work? No. It's totally going to destroy the fire. That means such a mind is not yet ready for Vedanta. What do? Samatvam, continue karma yoga. Suppose your intellect is made out of coal. Now, if I give you fire of self-knowledge, is that going to catch fire?
Not immediately.
Exactly. It's going to take some effort. You need to keep blowing, a lot of effort, right, actually. And I suppose your mind's made out of rosemary, and you come to Vedanta, and you get delivered at the fire of self-knowledge. What happens? Instantly, just, satya mithya, that's it. Just satya mithya sums it all up. So it all depends where your mind is. Some of us come to Vedanta, we hear satya mithya, that's all we actually need to know. What is, tattva vivekaha. The truth is atma, everything else is mithya. That's all one has to hear, they're good to go. For the rest of us, whose minds are perhaps made out of coal or wet wood, Don't worry about it, because everyone was at that stage. You understand? So we're not ever putting anyone down or up. It's just where you are. So there's nothing to worry about, because if you're in this, it implies what? You're already taken care of. Your mind's already going to, our mind's already going to Rosemary status. Okay, summary. How to attain self-mastery? Someone give me some ideas. Karma yoga, yep. And how do you apply, what happens during samatvam and karma yoga? You apply what?
The knowledge of
Self-inquiry.
Which is also self-effort. And what is self-effort? What's the word for that? Free will. Purushartha. So, how do you attain mastery? By accommodating and welcoming gladly your God-given gift of free will. We're not animals. If you're an animal, there is no free will. They're programmed. If you're a human being, gladly welcome your free will. That means fully accepting, I can. Capital letters, I can do it. I have the power to do it. I am imbued with the blessing to do it. And number 2, apply this self-effort to fine-tune the mind from wetwood to rosemary. And then the rest will be taken care of. You just hear self-knowledge, instantly makes sense. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.